Tell us about Instagram nutrition advice.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Whoa. Trigger warning.
Rant coming.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the brand new Wild Foods podcast. Wild Foods specializes in real foods from small producers around the world. We are passionate about ingredients and their story. We believe our food system is broken, that the majority of nutrition advice is irresponsibly wrong, and that far too many people are living in a sickness as a result of poor and confused lifestyle choices. We believe food is medicine, and this new podcast is where we're going to explore it. Who are we going to explore it with? We're going to explore it with your hosts, Marcy, Marbut, and Jamie Stuckert. Take it away, ladies.
Hey guys, what is going on? It's Jamie here. I will be your lovely co-host for this new show, which I am just so excited to start. A little bit about me. I started working alongside my brother about a year and a half ago. I help manage all things social, marketing, content, and wild relationships. My background is in figure skating with about 20 years of experience and 10 years of coaching. Today, my health and wellness is my number one priority in this life, and I hope to share my journey with you all, but also to help shed light on all the wrong things in this food industry.
I'm Marcy, and I am also a host, and here at Wild Foods, I help manage content and manage the production side of things. So, as a former TV reporter, I've worked in a variety of markets from Fargo, North Dakota to Amarillo, Texas. And along the way, I've developed skills producing shows and honing my on-air craft. I'm so ecstatic to be a part of this podcast. And our mission here at Wild Foods, as Brent so eloquently said, is to cultivate conscious consumers of food. And that's what we're going to do here. So I'm very excited. Let's get started.
Let's do it.
And like we just mentioned quickly, I'm Brent, and I'm the host of the Crypto Basic podcast, and I co-host the Ancestral Mind podcast with the CEO of Wild Foods, Colin Stuckert, when he doesn't fire me. I'm here to help us out in the beginning, but mostly I'm just going to say funny stuff and keep myself out of the way. So that's it. That's all you're going to hear from me.
I like it. So I think we're going to start out at one of the most important things here, which is how our food system is broken. I believe food corporations have led us down this path of serious destruction, and it's incredibly scary with all of the things that are flying around out there and on the internet. Grocery stores are filled to the brim with processed food products, and most of it isn't even designed for the human body. So for me personally, it has been quite a journey to get out of this scary place. I can't say I'm perfect with all my choices, but I certainly have come a long way, and Wild Foods has been an incredible catalyst to help that process.
But the number one thing for doing that right is becoming aware, and that's probably the biggest step I've noticed in your personal growth about food and nutrition and how to live a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I can't say I had the most healthy lifestyle in my 20s, which led me down to an interesting path. I'm really excited, though, that I got away from it. I used to drink a lot and eat terribly. So times have changed, and we're really excited to share more about that.
For me, I mean, I have a ton of reasons why I believe the food system is broken. You know, I've always been taught that food is medicine. In my family, we've always believed in the power of nutrition over taking supplements or like the vitamins that they sell at the store with a ton of sugar that they say you need to take, but you really don't if you are eating the right kinds of foods. I feel like the biggest thing about the way we think about food is that people don't realize food is medicine, and they're just reaching for the easiest thing that often has like sugar or bad stuff in it. And there's also other tenets that society's been living by. And one of those is that, you know, the nutrition is the same across the board. Good nutrition is the same for everyone. And it's really not. You know, as you know, people have gluten intolerances. Everybody's heard of that one, but there's a lot of other intolerances that people don't realize. Personally, I am fructose intolerant. So that means that fruit sugar.
Whoa.
It's in
everything.
Everything.
Totally.
And it's interesting because I actually had my gallbladder removed last May. Before that, I actually always had a hard time processing and digesting fat, which is why I believe my gallbladder eventually said, I need out. But I never had a problem digesting fruit or having like a fructose intolerance. So after I got my gallbladder taken out, I went to several gastroenterologists and they did tests on me. I'm not gluten intolerant, but they look inside and everything looked fine. But basically like my body and what it needs has changed. And that happens a lot to people. So like something I think that people need to be taught or be more aware of is listening to your body and listening to what it says when you eat a certain food, noticing how it makes you feel, because that's pretty much your body telling you what you need.
Yeah. And then the real question is, are you eating real food or are you eating food products? There's a lot to dive into in that category. Obviously, here at Wild Foods, we encourage people to go as close to nature as possible when eating. Unfortunately, you walk into these beautiful, accessible, convenient grocery stores that are lined with hundreds of food products, I say in quotations, because it's food that's been altered. It's food that has been changed from its original form. And obviously, to some extent, you're going to have that. You cook your food, it's going to change. But at the end of the day, I truly believe that people rely on food products and no one's eating just like plain food anymore. Just real food from nature, which again is what we encourage everyone to do. I think as a whole, generally speaking, this is the main issue. We rely on food products and then we are not cooking our food. It has contributed to all of the numbers speak for themselves in terms of diseases. And it's really scary how high the numbers are in the sickness, for sicknesses and illnesses.
Jamie, let me ask you, when you were growing up, what was your breakfast, lunch, and dinner? What did it look like? And what did you, what were you taught about eating those things?
Unfortunately, growing up in I would say middle class, below middle class family, my mom raised us and did everything she possibly could. And she worked probably over 60 hours a week. And with the little time she did have to quote unquote prepare us meals was TV dinners, sandwiches, Lunchables.
Did you eat Pop-Tarts?
Oh
yeah,
my
what about
God.
breakfast?
Pop-Tarts.
Breakfast.
I ate waffles every single morning with fake butter and Aunt Jemima spilled all over it.
And have you noticed when you go to the store and you look at the Eggo's packaging, it says on the front, 100% whole wheat.
It's just
as if that's supposed to be healthy. And that's another example of how the food system is broken. The packaging and the marketing. Yeah.
The marketing rabbit hole is a very deep one. And that is something that I have actually tried to convey to our audience as much as possible. We have created a lot of content surrounding toxic and dangerous marketing. It's everywhere we look, everywhere we turn, every store we walk into, every package, every label. Marketing has a profound effect on how we view things in life, but also in nutrition, more specifically.
Because if you think about it, marketing is about making money. So of course, like you were saying earlier, big corporations are going to say whatever they need to say to sell their products.
They're going to do whatever
They're not
takes.
Thinking about the wellness of society or the longevity of humans.
No, not at all. They're thinking about how the next best car they can get or the next biggest house. But also, it's truly scary because even in the quote unquote natural food world, it is happening too. It's rampant. Even these natural food companies are creating foods that are not designed for us.
Can you give us some examples?
Packaged chips, all these processed natural foods. Here's a frozen pizza, but it's natural. It's gluten-free. But it's still processed, it still comes in a process. And this is everywhere you turn. Everything is prepackaged, pre-made, and everyone just wants to run away from the hard work of getting into your kitchen with raw ingredients and putting the work in.
And there's a reason why processed food is bad. And one of the biggest being that it causes inflammation. And Jamie and we've done several videos about what inflammation can do to your body and why that's so important. And we talk about how basically science now knows that inflammation is at the root of almost every disease.
Yeah, totally. And if you're eating a diet full of, fillers and chemicals and ingredients that are literally not designed for your body, they're going to surround your organs. They're not going to digest properly. They're not going to be used as fuel. It's really overwhelming to think about.
It is.
And our society is unfortunately, or has been conditioned to believe what they see. And you really have to step outside and question why you're doing everything you're doing. And why you're buying these things, why you're not cooking your meals at home, why you're not making the time for something so precious. At the end of the day, our bodies are our vessels. It's a tough one for me too.
Going back to what I was saying earlier about fruit and how it's not necessarily good for us, I'm going to make a confession on air here. Guess who?
Oh, wait a minute. Let me see if I have a sound to play for that. I didn't really load up the sounds. Well, we'll steal one from Colin's podcast.
Okay.
Oh,
Confession
explosion.
time.
Okay, go for it.
So the person who actually first really turned me on to the fact that fruit isn't actually good for us was none other than our co-host, Jamie.
Oh, thanks.
And I remember that moment really clearly.
Oh, wow.
And this was before I found out that I was fructose intolerant. So after I got my gallbladder removed, like I said, I was having a lot of terrible symptoms and I was trying to figure out what it was. And I remember working with Jamie. It was one of the first times we worked together. Mm-hmm. And she said, well, fruit, it's actually not good for us. And I was like, no, come on. But then I learned more about it and it's absolutely right.
Yeah. I think if you just strip away all of the nutritional advice and health advice you see and hear, and you revert back to some of life's most fundamental facts, if you will.
The first principles.
The first principles. Thank you very much, Brent. The first principles of life and evolution and where we started and where we came from, we simply never would have had access to eating fruit like we do today. Maybe there was a place during times of starvation and during the right season and region would we have access to fruit? And who knows how much of it was there. But this notion of eating vegetables and fruit morning, afternoon, and night, it's just gotten so out of hand and it's really incorrect. It doesn't consider evolution, biology, and our ancestral background, or really our just genetic makeup. Too. That one is really crucial for me. I used to eat fruit every meal because I thought it was healthy. Mm-hmm. Then I started realizing I crave it because it's filled with sugar, because it's meant to fatten you up during those colder seasons. So at the end of the day, it's really hard because we're in this modern world where we have this modern thinking and we don't consider all of those fundamental concepts.
The other thing, just piggybacking off what you were saying, when we go into the grocery store, we have fruits from every region of the world, which are technically in nature only supposed to be available in that part of the world in a certain season. So
pineapples.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're everywhere you look.
Yeah.
They all come from Hawaii.
Yeah, right?
Or Chile. I feel like Chile has a lot.
Yeah, and then you can go anywhere in the world and find pineapples at every moment of the day. Yeah. And people live on eating these foods. Brent, I see you smiling over there.
I just smile. I feel like smiling is fun, and I've been waiting for a point where your conversation slows down to where I can ask a question, but you're not giving it to me. You guys are killing it.
The other thing is that it's all about moderation. I guess the biggest points, air quotes, Jamie. I saw that. It's like I was saying, listening to your body, because everybody's body is different. But then also not taking things to an extreme, because for me, I remember when I was 23, I was doing the juicing thing and I was drinking this ridiculously expensive juice that cost, I think, $12 a bottle.
Oh, I believe it.
And it was kale and apple. And I felt so sick because my stomach couldn't handle the roughage. Your stomach isn't supposed to handle that much. And I was ignoring it because it was the trend, right? Everybody was talking about juicing and how it's going to help you lose weight and it's healthier and it'll make your skin grow. But my body was screaming at me to stop, and I didn't listen to it. So you just got to listen to your bodies, guys.
Yeah, the trends are real and scary. And if you're not careful, you can really be pulled down into a deep rabbit hole that is very toxic to
Tell us about Instagram nutrition advice.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Whoa. Trigger warning.
Rant coming.
I will keep this light for you guys. I will spare you
so
one. You know, I actually personally, I come from a place of very emotional eating, whether it's addiction or not. It's emotional, problematic, very hard for me. So, I mean, I used to eat sugar all day long and binge eat like you wouldn't believe, and always act like the food was going to walk off my plate, eat so fast, which that never would have happened. That's a little bit about my background. So it's very difficult, but there are so many layers to this concept. But back to Instagram, marketing real quick. There are a lot of accounts out there that are pushing for, you know, don't let them fool you. Don't eat the 7 donuts, but if you eat the 1 donut, it's okay. Don't let society tell you that it's wrong, because that actually makes it worse on you. And I highly, highly disagree with this. I feel that there is no place for donuts in a human diet. So why are we eating this stuff? Now, if you guys can't tell, this gets me a little triggered. And this is actually rampant. I've seen it left and right. I saw a post earlier today. On the left, it said intuitive eating, and it had a smoothie filled with tons of fruits and all this shit. And then on the right, it had like a bagel from like a processed breakfast sandwich. And it also said intuitive eating, because they want you to believe that it's still okay to make those poor choices. They want you to feel better about making the poor choices. That is wrong, and it's going to lead to mental illness and turmoil and a lifetime of struggle. Don't listen to these accounts. Just go back to nature and eat real food.
And that might sound dramatic, but if you look at it from a chemical standpoint, the chemicals in these foods that they're saying it's okay to eat sometimes, it's actually not, because what it does to your brain chemistry mimics exactly what addictive drugs do. You know, sugar is addictive, and it fires the same neurons and chemical responses that addictive drugs do. So in theory, while it might be nice and comforting to think that you can have a donut or something a day, your body will fight you and want more. And then that's just going to lead you down a path of shaming and feeling guilty about yourself and your self-control, which it's actually out of your control. It's out of your locus of control because of chemistry.
Yeah. And if you just get back to basics and simply cook your food and eat it, you don't have to worry about any of this. But everyone wants to dodge it. Everyone wants the easy way out. Everyone wants to be told it's okay to mess up. It's okay to fuck up. Guess what? It's not. That's really bad advice. I do understand that people will experience a massive shift in their lifestyle and habits. It's hard. It is challenging. Why take the easy road? And then harm your body in the process. Right. And I can't accept it.
You know, a lot of, not to plug Wild Foods or anything, but to plug Wild Foods, we sell products that essentially mimic what bad things like sugar do to your brain, but are actually healthy. So for an example, we sell nutritional mushrooms, and each type of mushroom does a different thing, but they actually can increase the serotonin and dopamine receptors in your brain the same way sugar does, but obviously without the pitfalls. And when next time you're shopping and you're thinking about what you want to get, do your research about foods that are specifically geared towards your needs. Like, I bet you, I didn't ever think of this, but I know somebody who is struggling with depression, and I encouraged her to Google depression diet. And there was a ton of research about foods that are literally, they were put on this earth to naturally treat, depression. Not to say that obviously drugs are bad or anything for depression, because that's a very hard subject. My point is that you can basically find a food out there for any emotional or, physical issue that you're having. And you might want to check out our YouTube page or our website, because we sell a lot
absolutely.
of that.
I do think that it's extremely important to also touch on the fact that lifestyle plays a very big role here. If you have an extremely stressful job and you're not making your own food and consuming the right fuel, you really are going to find yourself in a tough position mentally and physically. So there is a lot to consider. It actually takes a full-blown consideration of every aspect of your life and questioning why you're doing things.
All of this is super good information.
A lot of information.
But we also have some action items for you guys to help you be a conscious consumer of food. Obviously, the number one recommendation we'd have is to listen to our podcast, because we've got more information coming at you guys.
Yeah, this is only the first episode. It will not be the last, I promise you.
And of course, another thing is to always question and do your research. Never take what you see or read on, anything at face value. Always question.
Totally. I think it's important to consider viewing life and your choices from an ancestral standpoint, something that we tend to overlook regularly. So I encourage the study of all things evolution and to see past modern conditioning. Also, if y'all want to have some fun on Instagram, be sure to follow me at Keto Like Jamie, and you guys will get some good stuff.
And follow me.
There you go. What's your handle?
At Marcy Lizbeth. So it's like Marcy and Elizabeth, but without the E.
And by the way, I started a trend on Instagram. It is called #Sober Dance Challenge. Sorry, it's #Sober Dance Challenge. And I am doing that frequently. I am probably about 14 days sober now, which I'm very excited about. And I hope to extend that to other close people in my life. We'll see what happens.
Should we have like a counter at the end of every episode, the Jamie Sober counter?
Yeah, totally.
Episode 1 is 14 days. We'll see. If
only all of our amazing audience could see me throw the dance party. That's the best part. You'll have to tune in on Instagram and YouTube for that one.
But this is something that I really love about Jamie, is that she's always super willing to be vulnerable and open with her followers and listeners about what she's going through, because everything that we go through as humans, there is another person on this planet going through the exact same thing.
Totally.
So the biggest thing to do to help that is to talk about it. So we're going to be getting really real with you guys on this podcast, and just to continue with action items for the way that you think about food and trying to fix the broken food system is to read labels, guys. When you read a label, you will see things like 100% whole wheat, 14 grams of fiber. But if you read the back, especially in granola bars, there is a ton of sugar. Sometimes they will do half of the serving size than the actual serving size. So
serving sizes are so tricky.
So it's unbelievable. I have so many times gone to the grocery store and seen something that, looks really great and it's healthy. And I look, and it counts a fourth of the serving size.
Yeah.
And then a fourth of the serving size will have 15 grams of sugar. And
yeah, so many people forget this one.
It's a bar that you eat all at the same time every time.
Yeah. And so always check serving size and check the sugar count as well. Really important, guys. I know we've talked, we're going to get more into sugar later.
I'm going to interject with a little label problem that I had myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I was on keto at one point in my life, I saw Tic Tacs and I was like, oh, they don't have any sugar in them. Great. Like, it's a great thing for me to kind of like chomp on every now and then to kill my snacking issues or whatever.
Chemicals.
All the problems with that. But they actually say they don't have sugar because the serving size is one individual Tic Tac. However, if you eat like 10 of them, now all of a sudden you have 5 grams of sugar. But because it's less than a certain amount, they don't have to put it on there.
Oh.
And And if you eat like a whole thing of Tic Tacs, now you're out of keto.
Wait, I did not.
Hey, Brent, I have some advice for
legal?
you.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you some unsolicited advice.
Don't eat Tic Tacs?
Don't eat Tic Tacs. Because those are made in a laboratory.
Jamie the Hammer.
Listen, I'm
down
not
on Brett.
keto anymore. I'm not eating the Tic Tacs anymore either. But that was such a revelation to me how ridiculous
it's crazy.
the serving sizes are. Who eats one Tic Tac?
They will eat you up and spit you out. They're really good at it.
So just to wrap things up about what you can do when you're looking at a label is also check for palm oil, shortening ingredients, white flour, rice, pasta, and bread, and high fructose corn syrup, which is unfortunately still in most things.
I highly encourage everyone to buy foods that don't have labels on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's that one.
Make your own salad dressing.
I love it.
Yeah, make your own ketchup. But in the following episodes, we are going to be doing a mini series called Brooding About Fooding.
Ooh.
And that is going to be exactly what it sounds like. We are going to brood more about food, and we're going to talk about the ways in which society has lied to us about the way we consume food, which foods we should be eating. Specifically, next week, we're going to talk about sugar, and we're going to debunk a few sugar myths and possibly have a guest on.
Amazing.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to have a lot of guests on this thing. We're really
Oh, yes.
We've got some
Y'all
plans.
be prepared because we live in Austin, Texas, land of the health.
Podcast guests.
Yeah.
And podcast guests.
And if you, and if you guys have any subjects that you would like us to tackle, email us at info@wildfoods.com.
.co.
Wait, let me try that again. And if you guys have any suggestions of topics that you'd like us to tackle, email us at info@wildfoods.co.
Awesome. We thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as always, we had a blast. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We will see you soon.
I have one request for everybody. Since this is the first episode of the podcast that you're listening to, please check us out. Head on to iTunes and hit us with a rating.
Oh, we would love that, guys.
Nothing is more important than that. If I can give one action item to the audience to help get this podcast going, making sure we keep this message getting out there. Obviously, we're not going to stop with our message. We've got the YouTube, we've got the Instagram, we've got everything. But if we want to keep this podcast going, it's really important that iTunes sees our ratings. So that would be the best thing in the world that you could do for us. So hit us with that rating. Send us an email. Say, hey, we just rated you. And then if you ask us a question, say after you rated us, we will answer that question live on the air. And I am going to say one more thing as I cue up our outro music. Listen, everything on this podcast has been our own opinions. This is not medical advice. We are not doctors. So please, before you do any changes in your diet, make sure you consult a medical professional. This is for entertainment purposes only. I've been Brent in the background. I've been here with Jamie and Marcy. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. We killed that.
Dude, that was fun.